Hi everyone, it's Zainab Williams from Elleverity, and today I have the pleasure of talking to Donna Constantino. She is a mental health therapist. And Donna, if you don't mind sharing a bit about yourself, how did you get into this space?
Okay, so hi everyone. I'm Donna. I know Zainab through we do business together. We
Mhm.
have a lot of mutual friends. So I'm really happy to be here today. And one of the first things that I noticed about Zainab was how much I was drawn to her. So we actually didn't meet. We didn't meet, but I noticed
Mm.
you from the first day, and I remember thinking to myself, I need to get to know that woman. so so I did. I totally pegged you. And I knew there was something about you that was special, and that I needed to get to know you. So I'm
Oh,
very
Donna.
honored to be here today. I am a mom. I am a wife. I have two little children.
Mhm.
Um, and I have been in mental health now, I think, for 4 years, maybe officially.
Mhm.
4 years, maybe going on five officially. And then prior to the education that comes with that. So it was a bit of a later start in life, which I guess we'll
Mhm.
get into later. And that's how I'm here now. So hope that answers the question.
That's
Uh,
really lovely, Donna. You know what really drew me to you as well is the fact that you have such a powerful story about your life and how you transitioned from where you were to where you are right now and really owning your power. And just given the fact that we're in this kind of environment that is filled with uncertainty, there is a lot of stress, people feel like they don't have any control over their own lives. How exactly can we start reclaiming our control? How can we start moving from that space of uncertainty towards confidence?
Well, a lot of the clients that I see experience anxiety, and anxiety is running pretty high right now. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important to sort of differentiate. Anxiety is fear about the future specifically. So um, it's about what will happen in the future. Will I lose my job? Will we have enough money? What if we get sick? I guess COVID is, really involved in all of those emotions, like heightening it, increasing it right now. Then there's all of the after effects, right? People have lost their jobs, and we don't know what the economy might look like. We don't know if there's a second wave, and all of these different things: school, masks, no masks, all of it. Right?
Exactly,
So
exactly.
there's just so much on top of what regular life would look like.
Mm-hmm.
And some of these questions that everybody has on a regular basis, in terms of, will I have enough to retire? What will that look like? Will I have enough for my kids' schooling? Do I want them to go to school? What about now? Can we buy a home? So there's lots of questions.
Yes.
And can create a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, and it keeps a lot of people, I feel, sometimes it's just easier to ignore it.
Mm.
So a lot of people just ignore it and then carry on with life. And then we make decisions over and over that might not be in our best interests, but it's
Yes.
all we know what to do. That's all we know. So we just put our heads down and figure, like, if I work really hard, if I stick to this thing, if I stick to this job, even though I might hate it or it's not my full potential, we don't look for ways of growth.
Mm-hmm.
uh, we just do what we know to do, or from a therapy standpoint, from a psychology standpoint, what we were taught to do.
Mm.
So whatever we were raised with is likely the manner of how we're approaching life,
Mm.
right? So we are shaped by our biology, psychology, how we're thinking. So the biology, how our body functions, how we're wired; the psychology, how we're thinking. Then there's the social part. That's what
Mm-hmm.
we've learned from around us, what we've learned from our parents, from the other people who are influencers in our life, other authority figures, from our culture. There
Yeah.
are beliefs about how we approach life based on our culture. Some are great, some are not so great in all of
Yes.
these, right? And then there's the spiritual aspect as well. If you are spiritual, if you're not, what that means in terms of how you're viewing life.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and where you see yourself in terms of personal expectations. So a lot of the fear and the anxiety comes from our expectations or lack thereof.
And where do you think these expectations are shaped? Because
It,
you touched on, like as kids, we have parents who drive a lot of our narrative, right? So
Mhm.
we are following that story that they've told us is a part of our journey. How
Mhm.
exactly can you start realizing that those stories are just the baggages that you carry, and how can you start unpacking those baggages? When does that realization click in?
I think that it needs to get to a place where we can be honest with ourselves about what is working, what is serving me, and what is not.
Okay.
So in therapy, like in mental health, like the main thing, and in any kind of growth, like even outside of that, the key thing is awareness. It's
Mm.
always going to come down to turning the lights on. So moving from a I'm just gonna bury my head in the sand, or just move through life with my head down and not look up and not look around,
How
to,
can you
oh,
even turn on the light when you feel
that's a
like
great
there
question.
is no light switch?
That's a great question. I think that for most people, they might know that there is a light switch. I think for a lot of people, the struggle with anything, not just in this arena, is always the
Mhm.
how. How do I do that? How do I get there? And the sad thing is that for many, it takes hitting some kind of crisis before we wake up.
Mm.
Like realizing, okay, I better do something because nothing is going to change if I keep doing the same thing. Um, and it could also be exposure to other people. So I'll share mine,
Yes.
right? Because that would be very helpful.
Hmm.
So for me, I was raised in a very hardworking family,
Hmm.
super hardworking, like almost workaholic, I would say. And those are things that I have to guard for now because I've observed that in my family lineage. Um, Again, very positive. We're not afraid of working hard, but on the flip side, it's not a balance
Yes.
where life, where life can be enjoyed at the same time while you're working. So that's an example of how the social impact of my family origins would have impacted me in terms of my lifestyle and my behavior,
Mm.
and my beliefs, right? So I worked hard. I worked really hard. I was very committed to what I was doing, and I always gave everything 110%. But I've always struggled with, one of the beliefs was, oh, this is such a good one: jack of all trades, master of none. I would
Mm.
hear this over and over and over. Okay. And that was very debilitating for me,
Mm.
because I believe that I know now that I was created to be good at many things.
Yes.
That's just who I am. That's my DNA. That's my biology. Like, so I tried most of my life to figure out which trade, because I didn't want to be the jack of all trades that wasn't master at anything.
Yes.
you know
Yes.
because I felt like if I did more than one thing, I wouldn't do it well. I couldn't master it. And I spent most of my life trying to fit into a box that I felt was acceptable by my parents,
Hmm.
in a career field that they would like, but I didn't like any of them. So that sort of always caused an issue for me and a lot of frustration. So now what happens is that if you have life goals,
Yes.
and you have like this dream of, like, accomplishing certain things in your life, it might not be huge things. It might just be, I want to provide for my family, I want to have a legacy that they have enough, I want to retire a certain way, I want to make enough to give. For me, it's a life of significance. I know that I'm called to changing lives. I know
Yes.
I'm called to making a difference, and my joy comes from seeing other people succeed,
Hmm.
and are they're happy and their lives are transformed, and that nothing makes me happier than this. Even for my own family, my kids, that's what I dream of for them. So this was a real big problem for me, because I was constantly frustrated because I couldn't get there. Like, I couldn't figure out
Hmm.
why I was so frustrated, until one day I realized, like, the light bulb sort of just went off. I am a very spiritual person, so I
Hmm.
do engage in a lot of prayer, and I feel like I received an answer that you can do all things. You
Mm-hmm.
can. Just don't do them all at the same time. So, so you can
It's
like focus on this and then
yes.
be good at it and move on and add something. And then you can focus on that and then do well, learn everything you can. And then
Mhm.
don't just leave all of the information. I tuck them in my tool belt and
Yes,
I build and I keep building using those new skills into the next thing.
I love
So
that.
so that's an example of if someone here is listening and has a personality like that, you don't need to be afraid and have to choose one thing. Just be strategic about it.
Hmm.
Yeah. I don't know if
Because
that.
it does take a lot of energy to really try
Yes.
to move from one thing
Yes.
to another.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yes. But it's that frustration. It's that getting to that place where it's like, man, I've had enough of this and I'm spinning wheels here. I'm spinning wheels and I'm not moving as fast. And then I think as you get older, you start to realize nuts, like my goal is really approaching me fast and I have not made the headway that I need to be making. So
Hmm.
for me, it was reaching that place of personal responsibility,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Like, it's not going to happen for me. No one is going to do it for me. I cannot just sit here and believe that it's going to show up and wait for the right opportunity. It's not happening. So I'm going to make it happen and grab this thing and bulldoze any door I need to. That's what I got to. Like, I was like, I'm done. I'm so done waiting for everybody in the world to make a way, make space for me. I'm gonna make my own and create it. So I
I was
guess, yeah,
I really like that because you're so right in terms of taking personal responsibility. I think it's because when we get to that stage of pain or when we hit the rock bottom, that's when we realize there we can't dig any further. So we have
yeah,
to start thinking of how exactly can we get ourselves out of this space that we I don't think it's usually consciously we are digging ourselves into it. It's more
yes,
like
yeah, absolutely,
a subconscious effort, so to speak, to get to that stage of
absolutely,
pain
yes.
and then realize that this is not really working for me. Now I really need to pivot my way out of this and start
Yes.
owning my own narrative.
Well, that's a really good point. I do want to touch on that because I think that that
Hmm.
is key. I want to say that people are not doing this intentionally. So for
Yes.
anyone who's listening to be sitting there saying, like, I'm not actually trying to do that to myself. No, we are not. None of us are actually trying to fail or
Yes.
actually trying to not move forward, or where we are actually very um we're aware that we want to move ahead and we think we're doing the best that we can, like we genuinely are thinking that we're doing the best we can, and it's no different than being raised in an environment where recognizing that our parents or whoever raised us did the best that they could.
With what
So
they
it's not
knew.
about with what they had and with what
Hmm.
they learned and with what was
Hmm.
passed down. This is important because if we don't realize this gets in the way. It
Hmm.
builds a resentment, it builds a bitterness, it builds a, oh, this is just my life and I have to accept it. No, it's important that we recognize that they did the best that they could, and now it's on me to do the best that I can
For me, yes.
for me, for my family. And I can now, I have the power to decide. Thank you so much, mom and dad, for the way that you've paved. Thank you so much, teachers or whoever have contributed to my life, for what you have taught me that is working for me,
Yes.
right? And what you have taught me that is not. And now I have to realize that that's not working for me. But I can't just say, oh, it's because of the way I learned it or the way that I was brought up. It's not enough now. Now I have to choose, and to work hard towards the life that I want
Mhm.
and do it intentionally. Yes.
Absolutely. And just to add to that, I also believe that when you have gratitude for all the
Yeah.
experiences that you received, you start to shift that narrative from, oh my goodness, I was raised this way, so therefore my life has become this way. I am not happy with my past, so therefore I'm ungrateful for it. But I think there is so much history in our past that in our past that we need to be grateful for, so that we can reconcile the past with the present, so that we can be able to marry these two into a happy future.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
the same way when I talk to clients about their finances, you'll find that there are people who make maybe $20,000 a year or $250,000 a year. But the thing with this situation is, when you have $20,000 a year and you feel that it's nothing, you start to feel like your life itself is nothing as well, because you've
Mm,
associated
mm,
nothingness to everything. So that sense of appreciation of saying that, you know what, let's say my $20,000 helps me to put a roof over my head, helps
right.
me to have 3 meals a day. It's a
Mm-hmm.
matter of appreciating what you have at the
Yes.
moment, and then
Yes.
writing it all down. Because I feel like there is power in the written word. When you
Absolutely.
write it all down, you start to realize that there is more to what you have in life, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then from
Mm-hmm.
there, appreciating what you do have, and then saying that, you know what, this is what I am working towards. Because if
Yes.
you're not appreciating your current narrative, it is really hard for you to be able to build from a foundation of power when you
Yes.
feel like you have no foundation at all.
Yes, no, that's so good. Like I love the two things that you just said that I'd like to draw attention to they're so good. One, we use gratitude journaling. I know I use it in therapy quite a bit as part of the process. So a lot of I mean, I use a lot of I do a lot of cognitive work mostly. So it's all about the thoughts, and which I'm a firm believer of that, you know, a lot of times the issues around us are caused in here. it's
Mm-hmm.
it's our minds, it's how we're viewing things. It's you know, like what I said, that bio, we call it bio, psycho, socio, cultural, spiritual. So like all of these different areas, it's very holistic, and looking at it from all perspectives on how we got there, and then in the end recognizing that what we believe comes out of these things, and we create what we call schema, like patterns in our mind of how we feel towards money, how we feel towards our lives, how we feel about family, how we feel about hard work, what we think about pain, and all these kinds of things. And we form these narratives, and then we like live our lives based on that, on those blueprints,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So I love what you said just now, that the gratitude's really really important, firstly because I do use it as a tool because it's powerful. It
Yes.
positions us at a place where you recognize what you have, and puts you in a place to receive more.
Yes.
So if you can see that, I, you know, thank you, like I'm so thankful that I have a roof over my head, because there are some countries where people don't have that,
Yeah.
where 20,000 is like a big deal. Like it might not be here, but there, you know, that's the difference between food and shelter, right? So very very different. You know, first of all, bearing that in mind, so there's the gratitude piece that I use in therapy a lot to help people shift out of like almost like where they're stuck in like a depression, where they're stuck in like just seeing the negatives,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like they're just used to just seeing the negatives. And so we use that as a tool to train your mind to be intentional about focusing on thankfulness, and then thus forward rewiring into a more positive frame of thinking. The
Mm-hmm.
second thing that I love that you said was the part about family, and marrying the past and the present. So
Mm-hmm.
there is the thing about like, there's two things. Like one, we can sort of almost get so fixated on the past that we think that we cannot move into the future.
Yes.
So we feel like we've made so many mistakes, and we've done so many things that are wrong and bad choices, so we can't move into what's to come, and we don't know enough or whatever it is. And then the other side is that we get so fixated on the future that we leave everything from the past. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
we don't want to have nothing to do with the family. We don't have nothing to do, because we just see it as like they just negatively impacted us. And so we just don't want to acknowledge our roots and where we come from. And we want to build our own fort,
Yes.
you know, somewhere else, right?
Yes.
So this is what, like, you know, we would call black and white thinking. So it's like either on this camp or in that camp.
Mm-hmm.
One of the key things that for my personal life, I've had to train myself to learn balance. and to
Mm.
learn that gray is okay. Like a
Yes.
lot of life is gray, and so it's okay to not have all the answers. It's okay to not know everything in the moment and to embrace it. And in this context, it's okay to build on what was given to
Okay.
us. So just yesterday, so I was talking to someone, I was talking to a family,
Mm-hmm.
and I use this analogy because I think that it's important, especially with younger people, who tend to fall in the I just want to build my own fort,
Yes.
and then the, I guess, older people who feel like they've come too far and don't feel that they can make a change now. They don't feel like they can build anything. It's too late,
Mm.
right? So I use the analogy where would we want to build from the foundation, right? Would we want to build on a foundation and use our energy to build there? Or would we want to build like from the second floor up where the foundation is
Mm.
already built,
Okay.
right? Okay. Now, building from the foundation is sometimes necessary. If you have come from a family where, or you're starting with hardly anything, and
Yes.
maybe it took the family everything just to get you to ground zero because maybe they were like below that.
Absolutely. 6 feet under.
Right,
Mhm.
so starting from ground zero is like a privilege in for the family, and in that sense. But in some cases, if we can, why would we not want to build from second floor up? Why would
Absolutely.
we not want to take leverage from what we've learned from others and from those around us, and from our past, and take all of those things and pour into it and build up faster, instead of starting from ground zero where we have to learn everything and it's full of the hard knocks, right?
I
So I was using
absolutely
this
love
analogy
that,
because younger
Donna.
people can often, right? Let's build on what our forefathers have done. Let's build on what our family
Yes.
has done. Let's use what's provided to us and move up, instead of trying to reinvent the wheel like over and over and struggle for no reason,
Mm-hmm.
right? This is why I'm a firm advocate now, especially at this time in my life, to work with individuals who know these things.
Yes.
So this whole thing of like trying to figure it out on my own, which most of us are doing, like trying to figure this out and trying to figure that out, and trying to work through my mental health, and trying to work through my finances, and trying to work through whatever, like, different things. I get the do it yourself because I'm a big advocate of it. Like, I love doing certain things on my own, but at the same time, we need each other. We need the experience that people have, and
Yes.
it's a beautiful way to create community and network too, because you're supporting one another by doing this and trusting each other. So I think that it's important that we recognize that we don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak, that old adage, right? Like,
Yes.
it's not all bad. Like, keep what's good. Someone used to say to me, eat the meat and spit out the bones. Right? Just take what you can and just like right.
I hear that. I hear that. I absolutely love your comment regarding building from the second floor. And I think you are absolutely right. It is a privilege to even start to build from ground zero, because some people are not offered that luxury.
Yes.
I've heard of parents who've said, because I struggled, what's the
Yes.
point? I want my kids to learn the hard way too. But that's not that. To me, I feel that that's a mentality of not nurturing your offspring so that you can be able to have multi-generational wealth or multi-generational knowledge that is passed on. Because if
Yes.
we're thinking of our own struggles, then how exactly can we be able to foster that inclusive environment for our children
Yes.
so that
Absolutely.
they too can have that love and power and appreciation for their own children? Because I'm a firm believer in
Yes.
parents being able to, again, as you said, build from the ground, underground, and then to the ground up, and then the first, second floor, so that by the end of it all, you can be able to look back and see the tower that you built, that your generation stood up on because of that
Yes.
foresight you had to empower your own leaders.
Yes. But it's a mindset, right? So
Yes.
that's a mindset of realizing that it is generational, realizing that I can now influence generations to come. So it's not
Mm-hmm.
just about me, just about my life, it's not just about my kids. I'm already thinking about what can I set up for my grandkids, what can I,
Yes.
what can I do for them, and then how can I teach my children to one up me. I want them to do even better, so they have to stand on my shoulders,
Mm-hmm.
right? I can give them that leverage, then that's fabulous. And I'm not by any means saying that we just hand them everything, because that can be dangerous too in terms of not teaching them resilience. But again, we don't have to have the black and white thinking where we think that just because we're helping them means that they won't understand what it means to struggle. Just because we're,
Yes.
letting them have something and invest in them does not mean that they're going to disrespect you and disrespect what they're coming from. We have the power to teach them those values, right? Alongside of equipping them for the future. And it does not need to be something where we feel like, oh, we're doing them a disservice by not allowing them to struggle.
Mm-hmm.
There's ways to be able to do the gray, to do the balance where we can do both and
Yes.
show them that love. Because I'll tell you something, as human beings, from that level,
Mm-hmm.
we do our best when we feel loved and accepted.
Yeah.
All of us, we all can choose to use what we have from our past, choose to accept um our heritage. And now this can be good and bad. There could be things that we've learned to not do.
Yes.
Like I a lot of that, a lot of don't do this because this won't help. Right? But that's still a learning, that's still something that we can be grateful for. It doesn't have to always be like, oh, I was taught how to do this and this always works for me. So
Yes.
we can compound all of it, and we can create our own system, like rewire, create new blueprints for our lives that we can use to build. And that doing things in the face of fear is courage. So a lot of people think that, oh well, I'm afraid to, and then I it's easier not to, and I don't have what it takes. The truth is that most people do experience fear.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
we all experience it. It's doing the thing regardless of how you feel, making the
Absolutely.
decision even in the face of fear. That's somebody who's courageous. A courageous person, a brave person, is not somebody who does not experience fear. It is a person
Exactly.
who experiences it and chooses anyway.
In terms of having that courage, is it because you had previously mentioned your own story in terms of spirituality and having that strength to lean outside yourself? Do you feel that having that background in spirituality really helped you in being able to realize that you don't have to shoulder everything that some a higher being that you focus on, that they can shoulder your stress, your the pain, everything?
Well, for me, 100%. That has been my life path. That has been where I have been from the time that I was a child,
Mm-hmm.
and solidified when I was about 16 years old, when I felt like there were too many things going on for me that I could handle. And
Yes.
for me, my spirituality is a key role in my daily life.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I walk it out, and recognizing at the end of the day that there are many things that I cannot control,
Mm-hmm.
that life is just going to happen. So yes, we can choose how we respond to what happens to us. Matters. It does
Mm-hmm.
set us up for success, but also recognizing that there are going to be many things that are outside of our control. That
Yes.
things that, like right now, like like we're in stage 3, and we're in the middle of trying to navigate COVID. Like no one could control this. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but we can control how we respond. We can
Yes.
control what we're going to do with it. We can control if we're going to choose this time to pivot. So for me, I draw a lot of my strength from my source, in that sense, that I know that I do what I can do, and I leave the rest up to handle, because
Mm-hmm.
I know that there's I can't handle those things. So that's not in my boat for to handle. What is in mine? What can I do? And I trust that the rest will work out the way that it's supposed to. So there is a piece of surrender that is important towards working towards hope, that
Yes.
you have to somehow let go, that you cannot manage it all, and that that's okay, and be at peace for that, so with that, so we don't torment ourselves. Coming back to that biopsycho socio-cultural spiritual, me believing that empowers me to make the right decisions and move forward.
Mm. Wow.
Right? If I felt like there was no hope and that everything is against me and I can never do anything and there is no help, I might not be as motivated
Yes.
to move forward. Right? But because I know that and I'm constantly choosing to grow and remind myself of that, I have the hope to move forward, that things can change.
Absolutely beautiful, Donna. Thank you. I really like the fact that you do realize that you can't control everything in your life, and you do have that space to allow that surrendering to take hold, right?
Mhm.
So thank you so much for your time, Donna. I really appreciated it. I love the fact that we touched on so many different aspects of life, about control, surrendering, or recognizing what exactly is our power and how we can be able to channel it, and then family.
Mhm.
And so in terms of your own breakthrough, what do you think is the most important thing for people to start uh, understanding so that they can move forward with their own life and own their own narrative?
I think that the main thing that people need to get to understand is asking the question, what do I want?
Yes.
What do I want? That's very important. And why is it important to me?
Mm-hmm.
And then what am I doing to get there? I think that
Mm.
these questions are really important, because a lot of us, we have this wishful thinking and we have these ideas of one day, someday I will, or the grass is greener on that side, but I like what they have and I want that, but we're not willing to do what they're doing to get that.
Yes,
Or we're not even wanting to do what they're doing. So it comes down
absolutely.
to, what do I really want?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then, now once I know that, how can I take the steps towards it? So if that means that I'm stuck and I'm struggling on a mental basis, who can I ask for help? Can I go and get help on a mental health base,
Yes,
standard, like that basis? If I don't know everything about finances, who can I ask that's trustworthy, that can help me with that piece?
mm,
Right? If I need help with something else, like, building this or planning for the future, what do I do there? Who can I talk to? What is in my hands that I can multiply?
yes,
What do I have? Where can I start? Can I start with anything that I have? I don't need to look at it like, when I get there, then
yep,
I can look at what's in my hands now to get me there, that will put me on the path to get me there. So I think that's the most important place for every person to start, like realizing that you can make a difference, and and you have the power to be able to choose, and you might not have all of the answers, but you can find the people and surround yourself with people who do have some of those answers in those areas, and create that community and build that legacy together.
I love it. I love it. So it's in line with what I believe also, in terms of speaking your truth. So essentially having that courage to say that this is not working out for me,
Yeah.
and this is what I need out of my own life, and then
Yes.
walking your truth. It's understanding that, you know what, I am vulnerable. I don't know everything. Who exactly can I trust? As you said, like, who can I
Yes.
trust to be able to bring this vision of mine to life? And then
Yes.
owning your truth. This is all about having that confidence to know that you will be able to succeed, you will be able to accomplish those goals, and you will stand by them despite any of the setbacks or despite any of the naysayers, because we
Yes.
will we will fight a lot of naysayers on
Oh,
this
that's big.
on this
Oh, yes.
journey, right?
Yes,
Try to
absolutely.
stabilize us. So it is really important to really own your truth. So
Hmm.
Donna, how can people reach you and speak to you,
Okay.
really understand more of your
Well, I'm
story?
I'm currently working at a psychological clinic. So if you are looking for me, you can reach out to me and meet me at the clinic for some one-on-one.
Mhm.
If you're looking, I always love making friends, and so no problem if you want to connect and just chit chat. I can somehow like find time for that as I go, I guess.
Yeah.
I am in the middle of working on my doctorate, so it is kind of a busy life.
Woo-hoo. Congratulations.
Thank you. So there is that, but you can find me on Instagram at Live Well with Donna. I try to pop in there as much as I can. I do other things too, but I guess in the mental health capacity, you can find me there.
Mhm.
And similar on Facebook, it's Live Well with Donna if you want to just connect one on one and ask questions and things like that. And yeah, that's about all I. Those are the different avenues, I guess. Reach out to me on any of those, and I can point you in the right direction.
Fantastic,
And if you
Donna.
have financial, you need to. I trust Zainab. I want you guys to know. I know a lot of my friends might watch this. I trust you, girl. I do.
Thank you for the
It is
endorsement.
important that you find people that you trust. I would not just trust anybody, and I don't recommend that you do either. Anyone who's listening. So you want to find people who can keep your vulnerability safe and who have your
Yes.
best interests at heart. It is important because and it can be scary for people. A lot of people don't make the step because they don't know who's trustworthy, but she's right here.
Oh,
So
thank you so
thank
much. I really
you.
appreciate
No,
that.
you're welcome. I would not be on here endorsing and having this discussion if I didn't feel so. So I think it's important that it's said.
Oh, thank you. You're such a lovely soul, Donna. Appreciate that. So, what I'll do is I will definitely tag you and put all your contact details on this video so that people can reach out. You can make new friends. We can have these enriching discussions that are so important for people to have during this time.
All right. Sounds great.
All
Thank you for
right.
having me on today. Have a great day and
I
have a
had a
great day,
fantastic
everyone who's
time. Thank
listening.
you.
Bye.